Hello everybody, we're back for part 2 of the presentation on team leadership. Hopefully by now you've all done the Excel spreadsheet and you've had a brief look at your results. I'm going to explain the theory on that the questionnaire is based on, but before I do that, let me start just by giving a brief background or historical overview of leadership and the study of leadership. Originally, when social scientists started studying leadership, they looked at successful leaders, and the question was, what kind of character traits do these leaders have that distinguishes them from other people or then from leaders who are not successful? So they identified a certain number of traits that distinguished leaders from non-leaders. And these types of theories were called trait theory leadership. Now, the problem with this was that when we talk about character traits, we are normally born with certain character traits, and it's very hard, or we don't really change over time. Once we adult, our personality and the character traits that goes with our personality is relatively stable. So you can't really change leaderships, you can just recognize leaderships. And that was a bit of a problem specifically for industry. Industry wanted to know, but how do we develop leaders? And then the social scientists started, rather looking at character traits, they started looking at behaviors, distinguishing what kind of behaviors certain leaders have in common, and they had a whole list of behaviors, and slowly they categorized them into basically two opposites or polar opposites of behaviors. On the one hand, you had the behaviors that they called task-oriented, and on the other hand, they called a number of behaviors. They clustered those behaviors, and they called it supportive or relationship behaviors. And then according to that theory, this behavioral theory, then leaders can either be plotted to be more task oriented or more relationship oriented. And it's basically like a continuum. So on the one hand, if the leader is really task-oriented, he would be quite autocratic, and when the leader is behaviorally oriented, the leader would be very focused on relationship and also participating and cooperating type of leadership. Now, it is at this point where Hershey and Blanchard came in with their specific approach to leaders. They were the first not to take the leader as the point of departure, but to take the situation or the followers as the point of departure. And their basic assumption was that based on the followers, the leaders should adapt and change their specific leadership style, or then their behavior towards the situation or towards their followers. So they considered leader behavior in terms of the two-dimension, task and relationship, and they said you can have both, or a combination, or in various degrees of both. And they also assumed that leaders can change their behaviors. We can unlearn behaviors, and we can learn new behaviors. And then secondly, what was very important in their theory was that they considered the followers as the situation. And they looked at the followers in terms of also two dimensions. The first one is task maturity. That is the ability and the experience that the leader has. And the second dimension of the followers was psychological maturity, or the willingness to take responsibility. Now, the two assumptions are very important. Leaders can and should change their style to fit their followers' degree of readiness. So leaders should adapt to the followers in order to get the most out of their followers, or then the team in your case, so that they can lead the team in a certain direction, or that they can get the team to do what they're supposed to do, or follow the vision of the specific leadership objective. Now in this slide you will see the 4 different leadership styles. And in style 1, which is called the directive or the telling style, that is when the leader is pretty task oriented, and so high supervision and low support. So that's more task and less relationship. And then in the second style, that is the coaching or the selling style, the leader is high supervision and high support, the behaviors. The third one is the supportive or participating style. There the leader displays low supervision behaviors and high support behaviors. And the fourth one is the monitoring or delegating style, where the specific leadership style is low supervision and low support. So those are the 4 leadership styles. Now I mentioned that the leader behavior should be based on the follower readiness. Now the contingency focus that focuses on the follower's readiness says that the more ready the followers, the more willing and able they are, the less the need for leader to support and supervise. Now if you look at the diagram there, in the blue section, the amount of follower readiness, that's the team readiness. So if the motivation is low and if the ability is low, then the input from the leader is and should be high. As the follower readiness changes, so that they become more motivated and they become more able, so the leader should change the leadership style in order to adapt to the followers. If the leader does not change, then although the followers may be very competent and they may be motivated, it may start feeling that they are being micromanaged, and we all know what happens then is you lose morale, and instead by increasing the productivity of the team, you will decrease the productivity, because the followers would then become slowly demotivated. So the style of the leader should change based on the follower readiness. Here the behavior of the followers are plotted in 4 quadrants. In the left bottom quadrant, the followers are willing and able. In the bottom right quadrant, they are willing but they're unable, so they are not as task mature as in the left bottom. In the top right hand corner, the followers are both unwilling and unable, so they're not motivated and they can't really do the task. And in the top left, they are unwilling but able. When we put the appropriate style of the leader on top of the the 2 slides that we've shown, on top of the follower behavior, it will look like this. In the bottom right hand corner, when the followers are unable but willing, the appropriate or the best style is directive. So it's more task oriented, and because they are unable, you tell them what to do. This is typically somebody that's fresh from training or from theoretical course, but they do not have the practical experience, and then the person that knows the senior person would then tell them what to do. If we go to the next one, there the followers are unwilling and unable. Now the input of the leader should be high, and that is high on supervision and high support, and as the the team change and they are unwilling but unable, so that is when they're not motivated, then the focus has to be supportive. The behavior of the leader must be low on supervision and high on support in order to get the best out of the team. And in the last one, where the team members are willing and able, then the appropriate style is the monitoring style, which is low in supervision and low in support. Now, the leader's effectiveness is based or is equal to when the appropriate style is being used for the situation. So as the situation, as the followers change, the leader should change his behavior or her behavior then to adapt to the followers so that the best could be the leader could get the best out of the followers. Now, how to improve? The first way is to learn to be more flexible in your style, and the second is to read the situation better. And then also to strive to get the team to be willing and able, in other words, to improve the situation. Now, if you want to interpret your leadership style, you look at the two, your leadership, your flexibility and also your effectiveness. And your flexibility, the ideal is 3-3-3-3 in each block, and that means you can apply, you can easily move between the leadership styles. It is not about being balanced. It's about you can apply the different leadership styles when the situation requires. And on the right hand side, the higher your score on the effectiveness scale, it means that the better you are to read the situation and then to apply the correct style with the leadership. Good luck with the interpreting of your scores. I think it is really a useful questionnaire that helps you to give feedback, and you can and then help you to improve or adapt your behavior so that you can improve on your own leadership style. The theory is also described in the PDF file, which is part of your course material. Thank you.